Good morning. Denise Dryden here, doing a video, my weekly video here in Whitefish, Montana. And today I want to talk about what happens when we identify that there's bullying going on, whether it's energetic, whether it's emotional. And I want to really focus on the inner and the outer bullying. Because let's go through this and see what you think. If this is your first time, please subscribe, please like, please join, because these come through every single week on whatever is coming up that's sort of touching me on the shoulder and saying, hey, let's talk about that. So part of the work that I do is with sensitives and empaths and those who are energetically reactive, responsive. And sometimes they have wounds, they have hurts from having different learning styles, having different relationships with their parents, with their spouse than other people, okay? So what happens is that they have this internal reaction to things that happen, whether it comes from parents with anger and frustration, like, you take so long to get ready in the morning and you always forget something and your stress makes me angry and then I yell at you. Judgment, which is, I'm so concerned about you and the fact that you can't work with these teachers. How are we going to get you through high school? But that comes through sometimes like this scrutiny, this judgment, this like, I don't know what to do with you, and I think you're making this up. And if you would just put your head down or keep, as my mother used to say, Denise, just get in class and keep your goddamn mouth shut, right? And I was thinking, so much bigger than that, Mom. This is not about whether I'm talking or not. Fear or punishment. What happens when there's pervasive fear inside of us that what we're doing isn't going to be okay by others, and that we feel that judgment or emotion coming towards, which feels like punishment, which is like, don't you dare act out in the car again. We have a long road trip ahead of us. These are those kinds of things that we don't really put together, that they're familial, they're experiential, they're from conditioning. And, disclaimer, as parents, we do the very best we know how to do, right? We're like keeping our head above water and we're working through this, and we think we're doing a really good job, and in so many ways we are. And with someone who's an energetic, reactive, responsive being, we don't realize that sometimes there's some hurts there, that they've been, or we as a child has been hurt. We've been hurt by others, whether it's physical, whether it's verbal, whether it's energetic, whether it's intellectual. So the card that I'm going to show you is the Nine of Swords. So in the Thoth deck, let's get over here, okay? It is 9 swords that are all rusted at different lengths, and they're dripping with previous wounds, okay? In the Spacious Tarot deck, 9 swords coming towards a mouse that's terrified. And the mouse energetically is a mouse that has a lot of hypervigilance, a lot of fear in it, right? And within the Osho Tarot deck, the 9 is that I have a lot of grief. I have a lot of solace or sorrow inside of me. This card is called Sorrow. And I surround myself with the gray mental stories of what doesn't work. And it's really hard to see the stars behind me. It's hard to see anything when I'm so caught up in these swords, these mental constructs, right? So whether this is teasing at school, whether this is, bullying from other, from parents, from teachers, from other kids. I have a client that I'm working with who's had a really hard time working during the pandemic on Zoom. And when she would turn on her screen, her teacher would zero right in on her and say, oh, well, you've decided to join us today. And there was this reaction to, I don't ever want to go back to that class again. So there's slander, there's judgment, there's teasing, there's ridicule. And these come from our outer sides, right? And we layer up and we pretend like, this is not so bad, right? And we cover this and we hide our hurts. You know, for me, I was 6 to 8 inches taller than most kids in my class. I had teeth that stuck straight out and took braces 3 times to get them to calm down. And of course, this hair, now that there's, you know, now that we have product, is doing really well. But in the 80s and 70s and early 60s, it was not pretty. So we have our outer wounds, our outer feelings, right? So the whole point of the 9 of Swords is that, yes, we were hurt. Yes, we were hurt by others. But those hurts stopped a long time ago. So what happens is that we become the bully to ourselves. We take those stories and we gather them up and we bring them back in like a sword again and again on top of ourselves. So we go into denial, we go into repetitive looping, which is, my hair, if it would just, and there's nothing I can do on my body, or I can't say anything right. And we go into this negative self-talk where there's a lack of compassion, there's a lack of love. And we become our own inner bully, doing judgment, running the perseveration, the looping, which is, I'm never going to be any good at this. Why was I thinking about doing this job? I don't know what I'm doing as a parent. And what we're doing is we're re-stabbing ourselves from a hurt that isn't even in our life anymore. It is something that we hold on to. So outer bullying and inner bullying have a connection in that we perseverate. We hold on to the mental constructs. Now, it's interesting with 3 different groups as to how they do it. With the Indigos, who are our little warriors, they simmer and they get angry, and then they use their warrior energy and they fight back. So you can really get and harness a lot of energy out of a warrior because they're going to fight. When you go to an Indigo, they're going to withdraw. They're going to go inside because the vibration is how they navigate through the world. And if the vibration feels awful in a classroom with certain kids at home when dad's home or when mom's mad or whatever, right? There's this vibration of anger and they go into avoidance and they go into video games and they go into numbing, just make it go away. So the other part is that when we have this inner bully, we hurt inside, right? But how could it not come out and hurt others? Because if we're that judgmental inside, then it's going to come through the lens of what we transfer to the outside. So then the reason I'm doing this video and bringing all of these sort of mental constructs to the surface is that we have a choice. And the choice is our greatest gift because the 9 of Swords is also, it's the 9. It's a 9 out of 10. It's almost completion. It is the intelligence of perfection. It is the intelligence that says, wait. It's almost done. I got to fine tune this and I got to make these alterations and I've got to make these adjustments, right? And so what we do is we free ourselves from judgment by focusing on something else. And so the 9 ends up being the most beautiful number because it's kind of like, if I can let go of the old stories, then what I can actually do is start to create a beautiful product. So Mike Dooley talks a lot about thoughts become things. And when we hold them in our forms, let me see if I got this one. This is out of the Sacred Rebels. Relax and hold the darkness, relax the hold of darkness. Right? And be at cause. I don't know if you can see her. She's in the middle of the swirling. Relax it. Let it go. Remove it out of you. Because if you can choose different thoughts, then you can choose a different way that reality, my notes are not working, that reality start to interact with you. So the 3rd energetic group is the rainbow. So the rainbow came for a very small amount of time, but they hold a tremendous amount of joy in their body. So the rainbow energy is this ability to sort of shine out and see the good in things. So what we do when we make choice is we go and we find that moment in our life where we felt beauty, where we felt love, where we felt grace. We hold on to those moments. For some of us, it may be only one or two. For those of us, it might be with an entire person our entire life. A grandparent, a parent, a best friend, a teacher. And we emit that, we feel that, we shine that, and we share that, and we nourish that. So that rainbow sort of like spreading it out is absolutely gorgeous. So part of what I do is, well, I'm not going to go through all I have so many cards. It's almost amazing here as to how many. So we lift the veil, right? And we sever the connection with the old thoughts. And we do what we're going to talk about in the tips. We water our garden. We actually start to do self-nourishment, self-love, body care, tenderness, and we stay in the presence, right? So tips. Number 1, assess and analyze. What is it that I'm doing? Oh my goodness, every single time I get nervous, I start pulling in the old stories. I start pulling in the old loops. And so you sort of gather, what's the status of this? I'm deep in self-judgment. I'm deep in, and you get some clarity on it, right? This is what's going on. That makes sense. No judgment, you just assess it. Like it's neutral. Oh, okay, that's what's going on. Number 2, is you realize, when I'm in that, I seclude myself. I pull back. I step away from people. Or maybe you get out in people and then you're just snarky and nasty to people. So you sort of realize, am I secluded or am I pushing out and using people with this thing that's going on? Number 3, sever the hurts. Let go of those old hurts. Let them rest. Soften them. That we're not saying that they didn't happen, and we're not saying to ignore them. We're saying to stop picking them up and carrying them around and re-injuring yourself over and over and over again with them. You have to put the old wound down. So part of us, can let go. Part of us can close off that. Part of us can do that healing. The most important thing is to let it rest. It stays over there. In the perfectionism, it's like I put that to rest, and sometimes it comes up and I just gently walk it and put it back down. Doesn't belong in my world anymore. Number 4 is choice. Choose with every breath to get out of the loop, right? Every breath, because at any given time that we have a feeling come up within us, we have a choice. The choice is, do I step back to where it's comfortable, where those old pains are old friends and I've known them for so long, and I know that. And that's easy to just stay stuck and withdrawn and stay back here in the pain. Or do I step forward into creating something new? This takes tremendous courage, tremendous vision to be able to continually step forward with choice into something different. Number 5, it takes strength. It takes inner strength. It takes courage and conviction to say, I want something more. I'm choosing to be free from judgment and focus on something else, right? And number 6 is, more than anything, it's learn how to self-care, learn how to nourish yourself, learn how to self-love. So give yourself that which you didn't have when you were little. I put him up here, or her up here, this little baby, because it's a baby statue in meditation, and it reminds me every day in the work that I do that this is about, are we going to take care of our inner child? Are we going to nurture and love and bring that little inner child who is us, our soul, into this world? Or are we going to keep stabbing it and hurting it over and over again? So you are the self-healer. You are the guide. You are the parent. You are the wise one. So if you want tools on how to become that wise one, how to become that self-nourisher, then that's what I do. So give me a call. You can find me on my website. I'm at DeniseDrydenCoaching.com. And I hope that these tips, I hope that this information has sort of stirred something in you, because we're going into the full moon, or new moon, on June 10th. And I have a feeling that between now and then we have a lot of things to sort of put to rest, just to put down. Let's put down these swords that cause so much fear and pain, and let's focus on something else. You have a good Sunday, and I'll see you next week. Take care.